Good morning, traders. Happy Tuesday. What's going on, chat? Thank you, Surfix. Hit that like button as you guys are coming in. All right, let's take a look at what we got. We kind of have just been hovering in the overnight session. Nothing really big happened. I do have this possible bounce zone down here. Like we were talking about, I think it was Kimmer and I were talking about how it feels like this area will eventually get retested. Don't know if it's going to happen today. So I'm going to watch for a reaction at this overnight low and see if we get a bounce there. So this is our Asia low. But yeah, this has kind of been a small range. London high and Asia high are right in the same spot. It's almost like London came up and swept that Asia high and then rejected. So it'd be interesting to see what happens at this Asia low when the market opens. What is this range? I guess it looked small. It's not that small of a range. 320 points for the overnight session is not that bad. So yeah, for now, I'm kind of just going to play this range until we get a breakout. So long the bottom if we get buyers defending that level, and short the top if we get sellers showing up there until proven otherwise. And then gold, kind of similar in that there's not a whole lot going on. This level right here is a pretty big support and resistance level that I've had marked off. We're holding below that, but we're also sitting right in between the VWAP. So this gray VWAP is our weekly VWAP. We're holding above that. And this is our session VWAP anchored at last night's open at 6 p.m. So we're holding below that. So no trades for me at this point. I wouldn't want to short from here since we are holding above that, but wouldn't want to take a long below resistance. So we'll see how gold opens if we break out of there. Looks like NQ might be heading down to this Asia low. Let's see what happens down there. Good morning, everyone. Do I use TradingView? Yes, I do. I execute my trades on Tradeovate. And I copy trade using TradeSyncer, but yeah, I chart on TradingView. Thanks. Got a couple comments on the hat. It was a birthday present. My husband got it for me. Yep. Gold opens at 8:20. You're right. I usually pay attention to the New York Open, though, because that's honestly when more volume comes in. All right. Market's about to open in a couple seconds. Let's see what we get. Trade safe, team. Market's open. Come on down to this Asia low and then give us a nice big bounce. Let's go. Does anyone ever notice that when they delete their alerts, it doesn't actually go away? I don't know why it does that. Then I have all these lines and alerts on my chart that I don't want anymore, and they won't go away. Oh, flash sale. We do have a little bit of news at 9:45. We have manufacturing PMI and services PMI at 9:45. So there's a chance that the market opens maybe a little bit choppy and waits for that news in 15 minutes. Getting a little bit of a move up. We have our weekly VWAP and our session VWAP right above at like 343, 350-ish. So we could look for a possible rejection from there and then back down to Asia low. But just going to stay patient, see what we get. What are you guys thinking in the chat? What are you looking for? Think we're going to hold this Asia low and we're headed back up? Or are we going to retrace that big old news pump from yesterday? Bounce back to 400 after Asia and then dump. That's an interesting trade idea. I could see that. Get a good little sweep of the overnight low and then back up to a gap fill pretty much. That's like 408-ish. I like that. For now, though, I think it's waiting for news in 10 minutes. As you guys are coming in, hit that like button. Like hit. Let's go, Simon. Thank you. Heading back down a little bit. I wouldn't want to take a short from here if it came up to that VWAP area around 350-ish. That wouldn't be a bad short. Good morning, Coach. Yeah, Angelica, I did notice that. Friday was a tough day. Sleepy volume, yeah, I wonder if it's the market waiting for news. We got about 9 minutes. We shall see. Coming down to Asia low. Let's see if it actually reaches it. Just chopping in the middle for now. Still just staying patient. Not seeing anything good so far. This market is making me sleepy. I need to wake up. The most brutal days are sideways, low volatility. Yeah. Noticing that pattern in yourself, though, is the first step, and then you can just kind of set yourself some guardrails around that. Like if you know, maybe on a day like today, you notice that you take board trades, then kind of know your limit. Like maybe you only have a 30-minute time frame where you can be that focused without clicking a button. So if you haven't seen a setup in 30 minutes, get up and take a 5-minute break to go like get some fresh air and some water or something. That's what I try to do, is like notice those patterns and then set some activities around it. All right. Asia low coming up. Let's see what kind of reaction we get here. That's not what I look for in a liquidity grab. If it does bounce right there, I want to see it come down and like aggressively wick back up. No buying yet. Nope. I guess we're going lower. So the 15-minute opening range low line, I just made that myself. So if you grab one of these horizontal rays on TradingView and then just click on the chart, and then if you double click on it, you can add text, and that's where I type in 15-minute opening range low, opening range high, whatever, or Asia low, Asia high. There's the bounce. Let's see what happens in 3 minutes with news. See if anything crazy happens. I'm considering a long. That was a pretty good candle right there. But let's see if we get continuation. The only thing that makes me nervous is we do have news in 2 minutes. Advice on navigating between TradingView and Tradeovate. You can actually execute your trades on TradingView if you want to. Check out some YouTube videos on that. But you can connect your Tradeovate broker to TradingView and execute directly on there. The only thing is you can't copy trade in TradingView unless you have a third-party copier like TradeSyncer. So depends on your setup. If you just have one account, trade in TradingView. If you want to copy trade, you have to get TradeSyncer. Well, it definitely got a good bounce at that low of day, but no continuation, possibly because news is coming. And it never really closed back above Asia low, so that's concerning. All right, there's news. Let's let this settle and see where it actually goes. We can see what happens at this New York anchored VWAP. See if we get some selling there. That's also right around the midpoint of our 15-minute opening range. So that's an interesting spot for a short. I would probably put my stop loss somewhere around there and then see if we can come back to that news candle. But I'm going to see how it goes here. Right around 236-ish. See what happens. I see nothing on gold. Gold has gone absolutely nowhere since the New York session opened. Choppy, choppy, choppy. Well, as soon as I say that, it starts to shoot up. So that could have been a consolidation in long, but no, I'm not seeing anything that I like there. Still watching for a possible short here. Haven't entered yet. All right, I'm going to go in 196.2. Chased it a little bit, I kind of feel like. But let's see how it goes. Who do I follow for news? I watch Financial Juice. Another popular one is Forex Factory. All right, I'm going to put, as soon as we get to this opening range low, I'm going to at least put my stop loss at break even in case it does bounce there, but I'm looking for a breakout to the downside and continuation. And we'll see if it does retrace that news candle from yesterday morning. Versa, don't do that to me, man. Alright, I moved to break even since we're getting down to our opening range low. That's the first break outside of the range. Let's see if it actually continues. Definitely MNQ. NQ's too rich for my blood. If it does end up popping back up and hitting my stop loss, we could always possibly find a re-entry if it retests that New York anchored VWAP again, which it's looking like it might. Yep. So, bounced off the bottom of the range. I'm going to watch this New York anchored VWAP again at like 215. See if it happens to retest that and get some more selling pressure. That was quite a bit of volume on that 1 minute candle right there. So I'm going to watch and make sure this thing doesn't blast back up to the upside and it goes long. No, I chart on MNQ. I've heard people say that they chart on NQ just because the volume is more accurate, which I'm sure is true. I keep it on MNQ just because sometimes I like finish a trade on my phone and I have TradingView linked to my Trade-of-8 so that I can like close out my position or whatever. And I don't want to mistakenly take a trade on NQ, so I just chart on MNQ to keep it easier. How do I do that on my phone? So, same way if you were to link your Trade-of-8 broker to TradingView on your computer, you can do the same thing on your phone. Just download the TradingView app and link Trade-of-8 to it. I try not to like take trades on my phone unless an alert goes off and it's like an obvious trade. But I'll definitely finish off a trade. Like if it's one of those trades where you're just sitting there for hours and like trailing your stop loss and it's chopping around and I want to go grab lunch or something. Sometimes I do that. All right, man, Smooth. Sounds good. Anna, watch some videos on how to trade in TradingView if that's what you're trying to do. Because it's definitely possible. There's several different ways to do it. You can either click the market order button or you can do limit orders. You can add your stop loss, TP, all that stuff. And then you can drag the lines. Gold Rush, good morning. No, I'm not in the trade. This hit my stop loss. I was about 7 or 8 points in profit just to grab a little bit, but I'm out of it. So at this point, since it did break out of the 15-minute opening range low, it didn't close outside. I'm looking for a possible retest of this New York anchored VWAP at like 210-ish. And if it rejects again from there, I'll try a short. But I'm going to be careful though, because it's starting to gain some momentum to the upside. Gonna see what happens. It's actually looking more like it wants to go up to me. Not a whole lot of selling on that rejection of VWAP. Yet, at least. If it breaks above, I might try a long. Go for that gap fill. There's a 73% chance for a long gap fill on Tuesdays, according to Edgeful. Let's see what happens here, though. Can you get a technical analysis masterclass type of thing from me? The only thing I have is all my videos. Alright, I'm going long, you guys. I clicked it as I was talking. 214 is my entry. So, I was watching. You guys are going to ask me why I entered or why I didn't go short. I was watching the 1 minute volume candles. And it came up to VWAP. I was expecting a short. I was looking for a short. But none of these 1 minute candles closed red. And it looked like more volume was going to the upside just based on how I was watching the candles. So that's why I decided to go long. Could be wrong. Not saying that it's actually going to continue. But let's see if it does. We do have VWAP overhead, so there's definitely resistance overhead if it gets up there. But if it does break through those, the gap fill is right around 400. 398, I think. I want this to continue up with some momentum so I can put my stop loss at break even. Yep, I usually watch the 5-minute chart. I narrow down to the 1 minute when I'm watching volume for moves like this. Works for me. Come on, keep going. Alright, moving my stop loss to below this wick at 198. And let's see if I can get it to break even here soon. Come on. What kind of orders am I using? On that trade, I placed a market order. A lot of mine are market orders. All right, I'm moving to break even. Every once in a while, I'll do a limit order if I have a level that I'm like super confident at. But this was a market order. Hope you feel better, Waffles. Dang. Not given much continuation either way. This thing might dump back down. Definitely in a choppy spot trying to figure out where it's headed. Angelic Tina, the 73%, it's actually an edge full stat. So I use Edgefold data, and it's saying when there's a gap down on a Tuesday, there's a 73% chance that the gap fills on a Tuesday. So that's just based on reports and data that they pull together. So I use this. There's a ton of different reports on Edgefold. The ones that I mostly use are the gap fill, orb. So this is the 15-minute orb, but you can change it to 30-minute if you trade the 30-minute. I know, NQ is going in my direction now. That's annoying. I'm not going to even look because then I'm going to chase it. And then I also use it for the initial balance, which is the first 60 minutes of the New York session. It gives levels for breakouts, like targets, if it's going to go to like the 0.2 extension or the 0.3 extension, and what the percentages are. And then it also gives percentages for retracements on the initial balance, like if you're taking a failed auction trade or something like that. So hopefully that answers your question for how I got the 73%. Well, there she goes. I just moved my stop loss to break even too soon. Annoying. Still, though, even so, it's just not continuing. Like, that would be an annoying trade to be in right there. Like, targeting up towards the top of the range or a VWAP or somewhere up here. And just going, sitting through that emotion of like, dang, it's going up. And then, shoot, it's coming back down. Days like today are annoying. And just hard emotionally. Well, we can watch and see what happens at the top of this range. Because we do have, like I said, both VWAPs are up in this general area. 300 to like 338-ish. But I don't really want to short unless it's obvious. Because like the stats I just showed, our gap fill is up here at 400. And I mean, the data shows 73% chance fill, so we would be going in the opposite direction of that if we shorted. And I would prefer to stay with the data. Let's see what happens up here, though. Gold did end up breaking out of that chop that I was talking about. Chop, 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 and then breakout. But still kind of stuck in this range. Like if you were a pattern trader, you'd probably start to see a little flag going on here. I mean, it's not super clean, but that's kind of what it's looking like. Something's gonna break at some point. Where does the gap fill data come from? It's Edgeful. They do reports on all kinds of different data. Edgeful.com. It's a subscription that you can pay for. I actually have a link in the chat that pops up on one of my Streamlabs if you want to check it out. This is tricky today, you guys. Is it finally actually going to head down now? Oh, I want to take a short so bad. Wouldn't even need to take much size on it if it does end up going all the way back down to that zone that I was watching. Price action is not clean today, guys. Like, it's not bouncing at any of the areas that I have. Not bouncing at VWAP. Not bouncing at the 50% of the range. Just kind of shopping around all over the place. It's certain in uncertainty, yeah. That's exactly how to explain NQ today. Yeah, I was thinking a choppy start with the news, but I didn't expect it to be choppy all day. This is breaking people's necks. Well, I hope not. I hope it's not messing you guys up. I don't like that middle of the chop zone. We trying to head back up now? Nobody knows. Yeah, Kyla, honestly, there's no continuation either way. Longs and shorts, nobody's winning right now. Maybe a couple little scalps here and there, but no big trades. How long do I think this chop will last for? Who knows? What would it look like if we had our stop loss below there? I don't know. Going for that gap fill. There's plenty of resistance overhead, though. I feel like there's nothing that supports that, though, other than I hope it goes up. So, something very interesting that I'm watching. You see, NQ had a slight breakout of the bottom of the 15-minute opening range, and now it's kind of just chopping around in the middle. ES actually has broken both ends of the range. It slightly tapped the bottom end of the range, and then it broke out of the top side, and now it looks like it's getting continuation. So I wish I had actually been watching that a little bit better, because that's one of my favorite setups, is where it breaks out, kind of a fake breakout of the range, and then a retest of VWAP and continuation. So that actually makes me think the NQ probably will continue up. But yeah, that would have been a good long setup right there. Did anyone take a long on ES? We're at this overnight VWAP right here, though. Let's see if it actually breaks through. So that's ES. Let's see if NQ follows and heads back up to the top of the 15-minute range. We have 8 minutes until our initial balance is set, and it's pretty sad, but our 15-minute range might end up being the same as our IB range. Well, I guess we're not headed back up. Gosh, you guys, this is just dumb. Where are we headed? Nobody knows. Let's just dump this thing. Get it over with. I know you want to. Looking at the Mag 7 over here. Nvidia is slightly red, but Microsoft and Google are having a bad day. Adobe's having a terrible day. It's like Tesla is the only thing that's holding us up right now. Terrible 14 months. Oh, man. Well, we have 3 minutes until our initial balance is officially set. But dang, at this point, it's still just stuck in this range. Anybody want to poke NQ with a stick? Make it do something? Jack Chin's on it. Yeah, I was watching ES. That 5-minute candle poked its head out of the 15-minute opening range just a little bit, but it got slapped right back down. No, there's no delays on TradingView at all. Honestly, I think it's just me being a creature of habit. So I execute on Trade of 8. Also, another thing is I don't like having this. I feel like this gets in the way when you have that big like execution order screen on the right side. I think that bothers me a little bit. Yeah, if it decides to ever break out of the range. It's going to put everyone to sleep before that happens. And which way is it going to be? ES is hovering right at that VWAP. It'd be interesting to see if ES breaks above. And then if NQ is going to follow suit. But NQ looks pretty weak at this point. Although there's no continuation down. It's kind of just chopping around, faking people out for now. Thinking about a long. Mostly because it's not continuing down and ES is breaking above its opening range. What kind of sizing if we put our stop loss down there? Yes, this is the 5-minute. Take profit trader or Lucid? Hands down, Lucid, absolutely. Take profit trader, for one, their customer service sucks. So if you ever have an issue, you're not going to get it resolved. But the biggest thing is I don't like their intraday drawdown rule. So once you pass their eval, you get stuck with the intraday trailing drawdown, which I think is just a trick that they use to make everyone fail and not get to pay out. It works with some people's trading style. It doesn't work with mine. I think that's why I'm so sour on it. But I think that intraday is a stupid rule. No, I don't trade Asia live. Coming right back down into that chop. This is ugly, you guys. You're sleepy? I know. I'm feeling the same thing. Like, man, this market is boring today. Someone asked me earlier if I trade Asia session live. That's what's happening right now. This is what Asia session would be like. Double bottom at 24,140? Maybe. Could be a good little failed auction trade if it gets down there. Right now we're stuck in this 75-ish point range. Looks like it's moving up again. Are we actually going to get continuation on one of these moves, or is it just going to get slapped right back down like the others? Am I in a trade? Nope. Not in a trade. I'm not seeing anything here. For those who trade chop, there have been trades to take. You're right. Definitely could be a scalper and take longs and shorts off of this range that we're in, for sure. All right, Jack Chin, have a great one. Me too, G-Man. I feel like it would be too stressful for me. I'll stick around for a couple minutes and see if we ever break out of this range. But I don't know. Not seeing anything I like right here. All right, Lukey, have a good one. The 1 minute looks worse. Yeah. That's why I remind myself to zoom out to the 5 minute when it starts to look like that. Because then it's easier to see that it's actually going nowhere. Yeah, Drifter, I've thought that a couple times. That it might break through and then that happens. It just gets rejected right back down. Tricky, tricky. I've learned the hard way too many times not to trade this because for me, I just end up getting into drawdown and hitting my daily loss limit. There it goes. Still below VWAP though, so even though that was a decent candle closure on the 5 minute, for me and what I see, it would be a long right into resistance. That's a good call, Drifter. Smart plan. I'm not going to be too far behind you. Gold is pretty slow and choppy too. I mean, it is all green candles, but there are a bunch of green candles that haven't really gone anywhere. Not a whole lot of movement. Staying green is a blessing on this kind of day. Absolutely. Good call. I'm proud of you guys. Everyone who's logging off and saying they're done trading for the day on a day like today. Being able to recognize that you're just not seeing levels or price action is crappy. Instead of trying to force it. That's smart. Good job. Lactic acid's looking for a long. I'm curious, what's making you look for a long? So, gold, I kind of drew up this super rough wedge that it's forming. I mean, it's not clean by any means, but it's really just kind of consolidating here. I'm not seeing anything that I like on gold. It's just as slow and like lack of volatility as NQ has. So even if you were to enter along, it's not going to go anywhere. There it goes. Dang. Look at that. Wow. That was the evil plan, you guys. Put everyone to sleep and then have that kind of a candle. Crazy. But there's the rejection of VWAP. This is a tricky spot. It'll be interesting to see if this is just kind of a little pullback and then it continues up to that gap fill at 400. Or if now we reject from here. Looks like it's going to continue. Continue up. Yeah, you guys, this is a tricky day. It's like it wants to continue, but it's slow. Not a whole lot of power to get up there. You scalped another long for 90 points. I don't know if that counts as a scalp. It's almost like it's trying to consolidate here and then it's just going to blast to the upside again. Keeps getting rejected here. Jeez. Yikes. All right, you guys. I'm not going to trade this crap. This is wild. I think I'm going to call it. I'll see you guys in Discord. And then I'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully it's better tomorrow because this is just messy. I don't want to be a part of it. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Order filled.